This is Brian with Pixel Pals Games, coming at you with another deck profile. This is True Dracos for the game Yu-Gi-Oh! This deck is a lot of fun. Just recently started playing it. A buddy of mine's been playing it for a long time. Figured I'd give it a shot. We'll go on ahead and kind of dive into what we run here. So, to start... Dynamite Knight. Even though the boy's limited to one, he's still really good. Searches out all your spells or all your trap cards. One of the best cards in the deck. Ignis Heat, because doing the same thing that Dynamite does, but with spells, is really powerful. And then Majesty Maiden, because she's extra copies of all of our monsters, because we're running 6, or actually 7, because I'm actually teching in Metaltron for some of the cards that are a little bit harder to deal with. His 3,000 attack just kind of helps get over bigger threats. Technically, if you make him right, since he can be immune to monster spell or trap effects, potentially all of them at the same time, because he takes 3 tributes to make, he can potentially... become a 3,300, and then you can attack over, most of the big scary monsters in this game right now are around 3k, so being able to make something that can get up to 3,300 can get over certain problems that may or may not be immune to, card effects, because that's typically how you want to get rid of threats with True Draco. So that's why I'm running him. May change in the future, but for now, really enjoying running with him. He comes up a lot. So believe it or not, that is the entire monster lineup, all 7 of them. It may not seem like a lot, but there's a lot of searchability, and True Dracos have a lot of draw power. So moving on to spells, we've got our 5 copies of Dragonic Diagram, because, why run 3 when you can run 5? And if Terra ever gets off the semi-limited list, we go right back to running 6 of this bad boy, because this card gets everything going. You can destroy anything in your hand, which most of the True Draco spell and traps have the ability to, depending on whether or not it's a spell or a trap, destroy monsters or enemy back row. So this deck has a lot of, effect destruction and just, in general, hate. Like, this deck controls really, really well. With that said, True Draco Heritage. It's draw power, it allows you to have extra tribute summons, and it destroys your opponent's spell and trap cards. It does everything. Slices, dices, it's damn good. Disciples, just like True Draco Heritage, this card, you max out on it, it's draw power, it recycles, it's additional tribute summon, it's just very, very, very good. Cannot run without those. And then the bread and butter, the main reason why you want to run this deck is because you can abuse some of the best draw cards that this game has to offer in Card of Demise, draw 3 or draw up to 3. So since you run so much back row, you set everything. This card should just say draw 3. It's so dang good. With that said, you can't special summon. Your opponent takes no battle damage for the rest of the turn, but you don't care. You're running so much control that you're going to grind them out regardless. And the extra draw power helps you get to your integral pieces that'll lock your opponent out from playing the game. And Potted Duality just helps you dig that much farther. Some of the restrictions are exactly the same as Card of Demise, so you can resolve both of them in the same turn and not really care. It's just... this deck has so much draw power, you will go through half your deck every game, guaranteed. Trap lineup, we've got True Draco Apocalypse. It is wonderful because you can pop any other True Draco card, which can help you pop, other trap cards to ensure that you destroy your opponent's monster lineup, spell or traps, or spells to ensure that you're destroying your opponent's lineup, or just, the main thing is it halves your opponent's attack and defense permanently, which is dumb as a quick effect. It's so good. And then immediately after you do that, you can tribute summon to plus off of it even more. It's This card is insane, and if you haven't fought against it, you don't know. You don't know. True King's Return, it allows you to Monster Reborn, it allows you to destroy your opponent's monsters, and it's limited to 1 for good goddamn reason. A interesting tech because it's got really cool interactions with Sky Strikers, it's got really cool interactions with, just in general, saving your bacon and increasing your resources. If your opponent tries to destroy anything that you have, you're all running worms. So you can send any number of worm-type monsters from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard to draw cards equal to that. So as soon as your opponent starts trying to deal with your board, deal with your monsters, you flip this, you tribute them, and then boom, you just plussed off of a destruction. It's really good. Or if you're tight in a spot, it is an additional search for worm-type monsters. So, I mean, that's not what you want to use it for, but that effect is there too, and it does come up sometimes. From there, this deck is great because you can run a ton of floodgates, and the floodgate and lineup that I have settled on is there can be only one. This card is ridiculous. You can only control 1 monster of any type. So if you've got a warrior on deck, cool. You can only control 1 warrior, period. And you can't summon into another warrior unless you get rid of that warrior. But the main thing is it combos wonderfully with Rivalry of Warlords. You can only control 1 type of monster, and with there can be only 1 on the field as well, you can only control 1 of that type of monsters on top of it. It's completely dominant. It's a hard lock for any deck in the format. This combo is so good. If you can get it to resolve, but if you do, it's just game over. Then of course, running 4 copies of Skill Drain because opponent monster effects is what drives this game now. Without your monster effects, no deck can operate. So you run 4 copies because why not? Moving on to the side deck, because, you know, this deck really really excels by running the right tools to stop whatever your opponent's running. It's pure control, and for times when you're forced to go second, Winged Dragon Raw Sphere mode, just pick 3 of the worst things that your opponent's got on the board, and just give them something useless in exchange. It's very powerful, and it breaks the unbreakable boards. And then, of course, if you're being forced to go second, in a deck that doesn't really care about OTKing, Evenly Matched is just too damn strong. Just tributing or banishing their entire board face down, nobody comes back from that. So, moving on to Inspector Border. If you think Skill Drain is bad, this is Majesty, or Majesty's Fiend, but just as a normal summon. You normal summon this thing, and nobody's getting anywhere at all. It's very, very good, especially when you couple in the fact that you're running so much, so many hand traps, or not hand traps, floodgates. Your opponent's not going to be able to do anything through Inspector Border. We're not running it in the main just because you typically don't need it unless you're going to be fighting against something that's like Orcust, where they're really spamming those monster effects. Summon Limit is just very, very good right now. I highly, highly recommend this card. But it's really only excels against the decks that really want to combo off super hard. So your Guard Dragons, your Orcus, anything other than that, like if you flip this on Sky Strikers, cool. It doesn't really hurt them too much. You know, ending on Kagari isn't that bad. And with that said, for the Sky Striker matchup, like flip an Anti-Spell on them, flip an Imperial Order on them, the game's gonna be not necessarily over. Imperial Order, that the game's pretty much over if they can't chain MST or Brain, Twin Twisters. But outside of that, Anti-Spell slows them down so much, and you know, with that kind of time, it gives you time to establish more floodgates, more control, and you know, this deck exudes dominance through control. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the deck profile. This is what we're doing with our Draco boys, and yeah, post down in the comments if you have any questions, and we hope to see you later. Bye.